Sometimes the biggest turning points in our lives don't arrive as opportunities, they arrive as disruptions. Colin was at the peak of his corporate career, a secure role, strong reputation, and a future that looked perfectly mapped out. And then one day, it was gone.
Everything was rosy, and walk into the office and I got a knock on the door. My founder comes in letting me know that my role was being made redundant.
For many people, that moment would feel like the end of the road. But for Colin and Rebecca Lee, it became the beginning that grew into Inspire Realty.
It's impacting the lives of the people that we are working with.
A business that has since helped hundreds of investors build wealth.
81 awards later, being featured in Channel 7, Channel 9, ABC, and all these media channels wanting to interview us and stories being told about us. The business took off.
Behind the success, appearances, and accolades is a story about resilience, partnership, and believing in something bigger than the moment.
How about we combine the forces? Rather than actually diverting our energy into two different parts, how about we actually combine forces and build something?
This is the Peppermint IT Sip and Solve podcast, where real stories inspire smarter solutions. Welcome everybody to Peppermint IT Sip and Solve. In this episode, we're joined by Beck and Colin Lee, the couple behind Inspire Realty. Together, they help clients build wealth through property. But what really sets them apart is their values-driven approach and their deep commitment to people, not just transactions. Beck and Colin each bring very different strengths to the business, and together they've created a brand built on trust, clarity, and long-term thinking. Today, we're unpacking what it looks like to run a property business as a couple and how they make it work. Welcome, Colin and Rebecca Lee.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Louise.
How was the intro?
I think that's absolutely spot on. But if I may start, I think don't run it unless you've got a lot of wisdom, and I think just the ability to be able to take a step back and go, there's going to be challenges along the way. So it's not an awful thing for a couple to run a business together, but it takes grit, it takes wisdom, and I think it takes perseverance, that's for sure.
Yeah, amazing. How did Inspire Realty come to be?
I could take this one, and it'd be good to see what Beck thinks and how we started. But to cut a long story short, in 2019, I was at the peak of my corporate career. I was the head of strategic property services for a very large property investment services company, doing well by all accounts. I was at the peak of my corporate career and thinking that would be the rest of my life. Absolutely committed to it. Never saw myself running a business, to be quite frank. Mainly because I was running a business many years ago, and it didn't really turn out the way that I wanted to. So I felt like my calling was perhaps to grow a corporate career and be quite settled, and the security with that, and didn't have to take the stresses of running a business. But in 2019, Beck and I got married. It was in March, and then in April, Beck fell pregnant. So we thought our whole life was going well. Beck, I'm sure we'll share with you, she was also probably quite at the peak of her career as a project architect for a very large property developer. Anyway, so October of 2019 rolled around, and we decided to go on a baby moon, which I never knew what that was, but we wanted to go somewhere whilst Beck was towards the end of her second trimester. So we came back in October. I walk into the office. It was the happiest day of our life. We were enjoying ourselves. Everything was rosy. And walk into the office, and I got a knock on the door. And my founder comes in and he says, "Colin, I want to come and see you." So he pulled me into his room. We had a chat. And basically the thing was that he was letting me know that my role was being made redundant. So that was October of 6 years ago. Around this time, I would not have a job, and I don't know, sharing, I suppose, but we had multiple mortgages because we're both property investors, and then Beck and I had agreed that within a month she was going to go on maternity leave. So it came to a head, and I could have taken a role, a pathway of going back into the corporate side of things or do something different. And so Beck and I had a bit of a chat, and Beck said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to consider starting a business, in the property space, which is what I knew. And to be quite frank, I was working for a property developer. I was working for a project marketing business. So we kind of transitioned very quickly into, well, we've got existing relationships with developers. In fact, it was Beck's friend who was a developer. We got a listing with them and we started selling, projects, brand new properties in January. So 1st of January 2020, we started Inspire. We had Ava, which is our now 6-year-old child, on the 6th of January 2020. So that's how we started. It was all those years ago when we could have gone down the pathway back into the corporate side of things. We decided to go and start the business. But it was very much my inspiration. Beck came in, towards the latter part of it, but very much involved from the beginning, just in terms of the finances, helping us to start the structures and everything.
Yeah. So we had 2 babies at the same time. So to grow.
Oh, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so what's your side of the story, Beck?
Well, Colin mentioned the what has happened, but I remember even before we got married, Colin shared, and I had exactly the same vision for our lives. One day we wanted to start our own company, and I knew, and that was in my heart as well, as Colin mentioned, that's what he wanted. And that's even before. So even though it was a pick of, his corporate career, but unless something happens, it's just so hard to, shift, because it's a very comfort, like you're in comfort zone. So when he mentioned that he was made redundant, of course it's a daunting, but for me, I think my take on life is like, anything can be thrown at you, but there is a ways in every different situations. And I thought, okay, well, you know what, because we do have mortgages, it also means it's opportunity for us. In any case, if something happens, that we can sell a property and we can actually last for a few years. But in saying that, I said, well, it's a great time. You always wanted to start a business. Why don't you do that? It's now or never. So do it. So that was like my approach to it. And you make way, you find ways. And I thought that's something that you can investigate and do it together. So that's the beginning of the journey of Inspire Realty.
And to be frank, I wouldn't have done it if it hadn't been Beck that says, you know what, you've got my blessing. Go ahead and do this. I was already 40, so it's genuinely now or never. So this circumstance of me being made redundant has actually given me the inspiration and the blessing to start the business. And had it not, me being made redundant, Louise, I wouldn't have started the business. There's no reason for me to. I was at the peak of my career, earning good money, Louise. Not many.
I remember what I told Colin, you know what, baby can be fed through my milk. Just feed me well, and that's all you need to feed me. So bring the right amount of money. He's well taken care of. Easy.
As long as you don't starve.
That's it. Yeah, that's all we need, essentially.
Well, that's true. And that's a good start. So then Inspire Realty started, and you were pretty much doing the work, Colin, because Beck was on maternity leave, I'm guessing. At what point did Beck become more involved in the business, and how did you work out who's going to do what? Is it a discussion, or did it just kind of fall into place?
It's a good question. Admittedly, we did. The vision was never for Beck to be part of the business. Beck had always been an accomplished architect. At the end of a maternity leave, the discussion was, you go back and do what you do. You earn the money in corporate. Very accomplished. I mean, one of the top 10 leading women in property, has done some major projects. And so her skill set led herself to become a very accomplished architect and working for property developers. And I think, having the skill set of having the creative mindset, but also doing property development and having that pragmatic, mindset, it's a very specialized skill. And what I do is buyer's agency. So I didn't think there was we didn't see the transition for Beck in the first, I guess, couple of years even. So, but Beck was always involved in the background with managing our finances, paying the bills, and doing our taxes, and looking after the accounts of the business. So she's always been there in the beginning. But I think about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, the business took off. It took off. I mean, you can see in the last 6 years, we've assisted over 360 property investors get, start, optimize upon their existing property portfolio. And just 250 something 5-star Google reviews, 81 awards later, being featured in Channel 7, Channel 9, ABC, and all these, there's this media channels wanting to interview us and stories being told about us. The business took off. And as the business took off, I had to be less on the tools because being a buyer's agent, there's two sides to it. One is the onboarding, getting the clients in, doing the strategy, basically the positioning and the pitching. And as soon as I get them on board, I had to then be the one that finds the property, deals with the client, the agents, negotiate with them. I mean, it's the full scope from start to finish. And that's very time consuming. And it just so happened that Beck was very much, she's naturally looking at properties. She's got a keen eye for a good opportunity. And having that architecture background, it lended itself to being able to spot good opportunities that you can do something with it. So through a lot of discussion, admittedly through a lot of convincing, Beck said, look, let's just give it a go for a few years. If it works out, and she set some pretty lofty targets. If you reach X amount of money, and we have some buffers that could last us for 6 months or whatever that was, then I think it's worth it. So we gave it a go. And so Beck, gave up her consulting, architecture work, and Beck had her own business, her own architecture business. And so stepped in full time because we needed to facilitate. Here I am onboarding all these clients, but I'm not facilitating the delivery fast enough. So that's when Beck came in about 2.5, 3 years ago.
Well, if I share my startup story, Louise, I think it actually represents or maybe opportunity, but also dilemma of the modern society woman in the industry. And so, of course, I was progressing in my career path and I had a big goals. And obviously I've done my lot of, background studies to achieve whatever I wanted to achieve. But then it was the phase of my life journey that actually it was a shifting in terms of the priorities. The good thing is that we are both in property industry, but also it was a big decision-making for me in my career path. In terms of like a grade, we are both in property and I'm very passionate about property investment, but also my heart was always in property development for residential developments, only because everyone, anyone you talk to, everyone's associated their memories to the place they belong or they grew up. It's about the place and roof over your head. And my passion was about providing the right houses and the right environment for anyone. So when it comes to design or any phase, it was about me and residential. So it was my passion was in residential. And second one is we bring different strength in terms of like what Colin's good at, I'm not good at. What I'm good at, he might be not good at. So we actually combine, and it can be like a strong synergy we create. But I also was very mindful of my mom, who have been in business with my dad. One big, thing that she advised she gave me is never be in business with your husband. Always be away, but come back. But at the same time, on the flip side, how about we combine the forces rather than actually diverting our energy into two different parts? How about we actually combine forces and build something? But I had like something beyond what I saw at Inspire Realty as a part of the business growth, because I can't let go of something that I was dreaming about and then just be involved and then let go of compromise my own growth. It's like what's the best for the family, what's best for serving the clientele and future clientele, but also from that platform, what do we see in the future? It was kind of like it right now, in the future, and what's best for our all the combination of the aspects of our lives as well as our clients. So that played in my mind, and I thought, okay, the best possible situation is combined force. So it actually works really well.
It's really interesting that you say that, because we've got another power couple on our Valentine's Day special, and they had been given the same advice not to work with their partners, but the same amazing synergy, and they used the word synergy as well. So I absolutely love that you have found a way to make this work. What happens? So property is pretty high pressure. What happens if you get into pressure situations, and how do you both stay aligned on the decisions that need to be made around business decisions and things that are happening within the business?
Louise, we're still navigating that. I don't think it's
Yeah.
complete, as in like this is the set standard and there's no negotiables around that. I'm constantly learning about myself. I'm constantly learning about Beck. In business, it's so different,
Mm.
So we're still navigating it. But I think it's interesting because we had a session today, a business coaching session, and it was less about your personality. It's less about your character. It was a temperament sort of a analysis. And one of the things that came out was when in stressful situations, I tend to think less and do less, and I feel more. It's interesting. Whereas Beck does the opposite, right? She does more, and so we have different temperaments, I think, in the business. So from a temperament perspective, I think there's a clear difference in terms of how we manage our emotions, and it's and really, really tough because we have the tendency of bringing work back home, and and that sometimes went into some heated arguments. And I'm just being totally open as well. It's not completely smooth sailing because it's such a high pressure environment we're in, and we've got some very key deliverables. So unfortunately or fortunately, business has kind of creeped into a little bit of our personal lives. But we've had plenty of discussions where home is home, work is work, and when you're home, try to switch off. And we're making progress with that slowly but surely. It's just both exceptionally passionate people
and dominant
and very dominant. So it's like the alpha female and the alpha male going like this. And so it's it's iron sharpens iron, and there's just plenty of sparks. It's just the nature of it, and we've got to be okay with it. And there are moments when it genuinely it challenges me. But it's setting guidelines and navigating through that is the big thing for us, and for me anyway personally. But I count our blessings because as much as there's a lot of sparks, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of care, there's a lot of we get to spend so much time, considerably, I believe anyway, with my little girl. We traveled so much last year. We were in Europe, we were in Malaysia, Singapore, we're in Palau, and we do a lot of travel, and so I believe the business gives us some freedom and flexibility to do the things that we want to do. But when it's business, it's game on. It's fast.
Well, there is some joke that I say time to time. I got fired by my husband. It's never perfect from day one, but as we actually do trial and error, we actually learn how to delineate. It's what's your territory, what's my territory. Something that we always say is that play to your strength. What are you good at? How can we actually create synergy? And I know, on a daily basis, I know when we are certain circumstances, something that he brings to the table, something that I see as a quite different viewpoint. But at the same time, I actually am very grateful because the approach that I take is slightly different, and I really value that because that really brings another layer of the strength when it comes to problems resolution or solving certain things, and the way we have to look at certain things. I learn from him, and I maybe there is a different way or different perspectives I can actually see from. So I see that from him, and safe place that I can actually, ask and I can actually navigate. But then he comes from as a mutual, beneficial, sort of it's a safe space to actually throw in, ideas. Another thing is I'm very skeptical, analytical, and he's a more trusting. So combining, it actually brings out more of a due diligence perspective when it comes to different situations. There are different layers. I think it's a very, very, strength to us, play to our strength. That's what we actually talk about all the time.
And just building on that, Louise, I am an extrovert. I go out and I network, I bring business, I build a brand, I build authority, I tell the whole world about what we do and delivers. There's no doubt because the strength of the business is not just how you sell the business, it's how you deliver value and quality for our clients, which is why more than a third of the clients that come back to us has come back because they've enjoyed working with us, referred as clients, and that is testament, to Beck's work, because she delivers and it's quality and it's
I can't mark it. I can't sell, he can, and I know how to deliver it to the quality standard. But something I can't do, I can't mark. So that's he's a very important person.
Well, it sounds like a perfect combination of one end to the other. And so talking about the business and the quality work that you provide for people, when you're not working and you're having personal time, are you able to switch off from your business, or is there still some kind of leftover? Like when you're all doing, or when you're sitting on the airplane on the way to Palau, are you still talking business?
I think this is a safe space. I don't know, Louise, we are just so, and I don't want to overuse the word passion, but we care so much about the business that it's very, very hard for us to switch off. I think I'm getting better at it. To me, when I get home, I switch off. But Beck has a tendency of bringing up team members, what she thinks, how can we improve, clients, and I don't want to disrespect her by not giving it the attention, but I sometimes can't help it. And then we sometimes end up, really getting into a bit more of a heated discussion. Okay, an argument, but and so it's hard to switch off. It really is very hard.
It is hard. Theoretically,
in theory, of course, we know we do, but the progress for us is building the right systems, the right processes in place so we can switch, but also creating boundaries in terms of what needs to happen. But I don't want to sound like a witch, because honestly, Louise, I mean, yes, of course we don't switch off, but every now and then we just go in and out, very quickly, and I think that needs to, that's, we're just part of the business and we can't help ourselves. I'm okay with it, to be quite open, but I think progressively as we go and scale, we can handle so many clients, and yes, we may be on and off, but as the business scales, there's no way we can continue that pathway, because then we just can't switch off, which is crazy.
Well, it's an interesting conversation for me, because people do talk about work-life balance and going home and switching off. And I run my own business as well. I don't switch off, and I don't really want to switch off, because for me, but I'm passionate. I'm the same passionate about my business as you do. And I think it is different if you're working for somebody else and you're following their passions and it's just a 9-to-5 job. And I know, my partner, Lewis, who he'll often come to pick me up from work and say, "Are you finished work?" And I've said, but no, that's never, they're never going to finish work. So now we just call it changing locations. So now he'll come by and say, "Are you ready to change locations?" And I just move from the office to home, where I can, watch TV and have a different pace about it. But I'll often talk to him about what's going on, or there might be somebody else who I'm having a little conversation, and we'll watch television, and that's kind of our time together. We like to watch reality TV because you don't have to think about or really concentrate on it. It just can kind of happen in the background. But for me, work-life balance is work, because I love it. And if you're doing something that you're passionate about, then they say you never work another day in your life if you're doing something that you love. So I don't know that we do have to feel bad about not switching off, if so long as I think when you get to the point, like I know if my eyes just go, I can't look at this anymore, and now I need to turn my computer off and I need to go for a walk around the block or do something different. Like I think you kind of know personally when it's time to take a break and go have a massage. That's what I do. That's my switching off.
That's right. I mean, your fingers sometimes on the pulse, but and like I said before, we're still navigating it. I think business as well, particularly if you're super passionate about the business and the business has got a grander purpose than what you're simply doing. For us, it's impacting the lives of the people that we're working with, and so we care enough about our clients and obviously that's at the top of our head and heart, and that's what we care about.
Yes, and that absolutely shows when you have a business that's not just about buying a property. It's about really caring about who you're providing the property. It occurs to me right at this minute that a lot of the subscribers to Peppermint Sip and Solve and people who might find us on YouTube might not actually know what you do. I mean, I did give a pretty good introduction, I think, but do you want to just have a couple of your 40-second pitch?
Yeah.
what you actually do at Inspire Realty?
Of course. So my name is Colin Lee, and that's Rebecca Lee. We're husband and wives. We're the founders of Inspire Realty. Our greatest passion and purpose really is to inspire a generation of Australians to take charge of their financial futures by investing in smart, strategic, and profitable property opportunities. So we're a buyer's agency. On one end, we assist our clients with the search, the research, essentially is the acquisitions and the procurement of the right property and getting it for the right price, making sure due diligence and research. It's basically making sure that everything that is investment worthy about the property gets procured for the clients. So that's one part of the business. And the other part of the business is property advisory. And that's the job that I do predominantly. One of my strengths is being a strategist, and I'm also a qualified property investment advisor. So it's working with clients who may have an existing property portfolio and going, how do I leverage this? How do I optimize? How do I continue to build on your existing portfolio? Some of our clients have paid off the house, they're sitting on a lot of equity, and they want to continue to leverage that to build portfolio, ultimately to achieve their life goals. And there's no one size that fits all. Some people want to build a portfolio so they can live in a place of their dreams. Some people want to retire a bit earlier with some degree of passive income. Some people want to help their kids out by building a portfolio and then handing it down and do some planning in terms of their estate. So it's me just really about understanding what the end goal is and utilizing property as a vehicle to help bridge that gap as a property investment advisor. I'm also seeing a lot of new investors and first-time investors coming into the marketplace. I've got a background in education, so I love teaching, empowering, educating the younger generation to look forward and to help them to get started. I mean, I just onboarded a client, just turned 21 years old, and he and his newly married wife is about to get started on the portfolio. I managed to educate him on how their parents could assist them through a guarantor loan position, and now he's in a position to get started. So we're just applying for the pre-approval, and very shortly we'll onboard him. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And so two distinct roles of buyer's agency, which is where Beck comes in terms of the delivery, and then I do a lot of the onboarding, the strategy, helping my clients to understand the bigger purpose and bigger reason why start and build an investment property portfolio. So I know it's longer than 40 seconds.
Okay, there's no time limit. There's no time limit. That was perfect. I love that. I would like, so normally on the Sip and Solve, we do a longer episode, and we do dive in a lot more into your business and the systems and the things that we use, that you use. But today, because it's our special Valentine's Day, we're having a shorter episode because we've got a double power couple, and so we can have another session another time to do all of those things. Well, I have two things that I want to ask you before we finish up. One of them is, what is the thing that you most admire about your business partner? You each have to say something. You can choose personally what you like about them, but I'd like to know what you each really admire about what the other person brings to your business.
Somebody said today, you are attracted to opposite attraction. So something that you don't have, and it becomes attacking component when after you get married, and that attraction becomes attacking, element. For me, it's not that case. Actually, I love Colin's humor, something that I don't have. I'm a very serious person, get to the point and to the business. And sometimes Colin always says, wow, so serious. But what I really admire about Colin is that his humor making everyone so feel at ease. And then that really brings that into the component in business as well. So that's something that I don't have, that humor actually, after all, we are in people business. We are in business, but after all, we are dealing with people and building relationship, and having that like a sort of lighthearted field and making it, more pleasant place to work. And I really admire that about Colin. And I don't know how to crack a joke. So it's something that I would love to learn from him. Or I take him away everywhere so you can crack a joke.
Awesome. There's books you can buy books with jokes in them.
Say do the joke. It doesn't work.
I don't know if I've told it to you guys. Do you know what my one joke is?
No. Why did it? No.
Where do you find a turtle with no legs?
A turtle with no legs. Turtleneck?
No, exactly where you left it.
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right, you stick with that.
Yeah.
See, it's a dad joke. It's super simple, but mostly people find it funny. It's already funny. So you can borrow it back if you need it. You can have it.
Thank you.
I'll tell you one that my daughter taught me recently. She says, Daddy, she came home and says, what do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear.
Decent one. It's just a very simple. Okay, great. Okay, I'll forget it. I'm sure. I'm super very. And I'm always surprised at how many people I haven't told it to yet. So my kids are constantly rolling. Okay, so it's up. So your turn, Colin. What do you admire most?
I actually have multiple things that I admire about Beck, but I guess for me, the biggest thing that stands out for me is actually, it's obviously something I admire, but it's also honestly something that I struggle with. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It's Beck's.
I know what you're gonna say.
I'm going to use multiple words to describe it. I think strength is probably a good, summary, but it's the tenacity, the fight, the fire. Louise, you do not want to get when Beck is on fire, she's on fire. But that can be misinterpreted sometimes as too strong, or she wants things her way. But actually, in the envelope of that fire, deep within, I know that Becca's got a good heart. And so I try my best to see through the fire. Sometimes it's so freaking hard because it's on fire. She's on fire. She is on fire. Yeah. And so that just that directness and she is so tenacious, and you want Beck to be representing you when a property is being negotiated. She is a far better negotiator than I am. I can disarm an agent and make them laugh and feel comfortable with them, but Beck she cuts right through, gets right to the point, and she has an ability to
tire people off
because she repeats herself. I promise you, Louise, I promise you this. Some agents have just given up and say, look, okay, we'll just do the deal at your price you want, because she can talk them to death, So it's just that tenacity, that strength. Like, you do not want to mess with Beck when she's negotiating. When she's dealing with a negotiating, like doing the best for our clients, she treats each opportunity like her own. And that's why I say it's a double-edged sword, which is why I think there's just so much going on in Beck, because she cares too much, and that's come across as strength.
Yeah, when I do, I think it's kind of like, it's my personality. It's when I strive for excellence, I can't give up on like mediocre work. And because I actually know what it's like. It's such a big commitment for anyone to actually purchase a property. And I really want everyone to do well. And when I know that's the right property for our clients, I have to fight for it. And, of course, so that translates, and obviously in our relationship. But I'm very soft in my heart. I'm sure you know. Yes. But, because I know where he struggles most.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I mean, that is sounding like a very good partnership all the way. So, what I would like to finish on then is, what advice would you give to other couples who are thinking about starting a business and working together?
I'll start this one.
Okay.
It's something I am navigating myself, okay? But I think we have to create moments where we look forward to something. Our whole life is revolved so much around the business. When we play hard, we play hard. When we work hard, we work hard. So just yesterday, I met up with our travel manager who booked Palau for us, and so I said, look, we got to have something to look forward to. And so my plan is, if we can do something towards the middle of the year, that's what we're going to, maybe a smaller holiday towards the middle of the year, but towards the end of the year, we're going to switch off. We're going to spend good money. And when we were in Palau, when we were in Europe, Northern Europe, we spent the money, and so there's always something that we look forward to, time together, where we get to switch off and spend some good quality time together. So for me, it's about having something to look forward to. But the second one, which I'm trying very hard to do, is to communicate more. I have a tendency of shutting down if I get stressed or I get, when overwhelming, I think. So I think just having some time to care for each other and spend some time talking about each other, but also working on each other as well. Like, to be open, we have business coaches that come in and like this morning, like talking about our strengths, our weaknesses, our temperament, our character, our personality. So it's learning about each other as we go. I don't think it's an end. I'm still learning things about that I don't like, but I'm also learning things about Beck that I really admire.
Yeah. I think there is a misconception about, like you say, Louise, life and work balance. There is no such thing, especially when you're passionate about it. It's far from it, actually. But I think it's having clear delineation between what your boundaries are, your territories, etc. It's important. But at the same time, and something I reflected on recently is that we are so delved into much about business. Sometimes it's hard to see beyond that. And something that I think about is beyond business. It can be so easy to immerse into it. So we are utilizing it. After all, life is short, but obviously business, we got to build up. But something that I can't actually things to think about is importance of what's the priorities, and you have to delineate between business after all. And something I'm learning is to shut and guide my family, so that when it comes to family time, that's a sanctuary, and we got to protect that. And something I have to practice. So I'm very guilty. Colin's better than me. I always bring business to family talk, conversation, something I have to learn. It's such a big training for me, and it's really difficult to do so. So that's something that's very important, but it's not easy, because it's easier to be employed than running a business, because you are putting on the weight of a lot of different families of the employees, and running the business, make sure it's actually float and flourishing. And so a lot of people talk about the growth of business, but don't talk about the up and downs and mitigating. So you're putting a lot of hats. So it means that we are taking on more responsibility. So making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and protecting us, our relationship as a couple. That's important. It's going to be beyond business partners. So looking forward to celebrating whatever he's got planned for Valentine's Day.
Okay. Of course, yes. It's on Saturday, by the way, just in case.
It's important.
See, I've got 2 days to plan.
And we have to make a rule not to talk about property, and that's going to be hard. But so yeah, it's fun. And you know what? The more I get to see him, he looks cuter and cuter. Whether he knows, I don't express that. He's really cute. So I'm still in love with him, but he doesn't know that, because I'm very furry. He doesn't know, but yeah, he's really cute.
Oh, so, beautiful. No, I love that. Yeah, I'm loving these Valentine's Day episodes, and just get to talk to people about love. I'm just going to do this more often.
I know, I love it. Yeah.
All right. So I just want you just quickly tell us how people can get in contact with you if they need to get onto the journey of building their property portfolio.
Well, one of the key points of differentiation, I take it upon myself to speak to every single person, even if it's just a 10, 15-minute conversation, to get to know them and genuinely see if there's a good fit. I always leave a conversation where the other person feels more inspired. They feel like they've learned a few things. I've built this business. I'm also very well connected. So for me, it's about just meeting wherever you are. If I can help connect the dots, if I can share a story, if I can share a lesson or learning or an experience, I would love the opportunity to do that. So if you're keen and you have a question, you want to know what to do next, whether to buy, to sell, to hold your current investment property portfolio, or perhaps it's something about business, and how do you navigate business and how do you grow your business. I'm always here to help, because here's the reality. You achieve your goals when you help enough people achieve their goals. So if my goal is to help you become a bit more profitable, to help you to advance a bit more of your career, and you have the resources to finally build and set your future up, then it's a good lead time for me. So it may be 6 months, 6 years away, but hey, if you're ready to have a conversation with me, simply go to our website. It's www.inspirerealty.com, or you can send me a very personal email, colinlee@inspirerealty.com. We'll be in touch and I'll have a conversation with you.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you very much both for being on the episode. I wish you all of the best for your presents that are going to arrive on Saturday.
Yes.
We can't do. You didn't know, Colin. There's some planning
next week.
We're actually going to be in Brisbane for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
nice.
You will be my gift to Beck then, Louise.
Deal. All right. Okay. That's